Hey guys, welcome to another episode with the Struggling Hunters here. We got Eric and me together. I'm Joe. Um, we've For those of you that are tuning in for the first time, we call ourselves the Struggling Hunters. Um, Partly the fact is that we do struggle as hunters, but also kind of play into the rest of life that not only is hunting hard, but life is hard too, and there's always seems to be struggles, and you always got to push your way through them. You always got to dig, claw, and keep pushing forward and staying motivated, and that's a big struggle within itself. So yeah, that's kind of us in a nutshell. Um, and like, subscribe, tell a friend. We appreciate it if you do that for us. Maybe you haven't met us in person, but you want to show us some love, let us know how we're doing. That'd be a nice gesture for us. Instead of paying us, we'll take your money, but it'd be nice to subscribe and leave a comment and tell a friend. But with that, we'll go ahead and kind of dive off into this week's podcast. Um, and then so I kind of give you a little backstory too. So I'm in Utah, Eric's in Colorado, so we kind of get two different sides of things as far as hunting season goes. And so right now, Eric has a turkey season going on, and my turkey season starts in May, and so we're in April, and so I'm kind of still off playing. Should be probably scouting a little bit more for turkey hunting and whatnot, but instead been spending more time with the wife and some family activities. And so with those activities, it was last weekend, me and the wife went out to the geo beds here in Utah. They're out in the West Desert. There's another area called Topaz Mountain where we did that one. We went out to Topaz Mountain years ago, where you find like little topaz crystals, little white crystals, which that's fun too. But anyways, back to the geo beds. We went out, and it was fun. Uh, they kind of, the BLM, I think they dynamited, like they blasted up a little area so that way you don't have to like dig so hard to get to them. And
Oh, that's cool.
yeah, so we spent it was a long ride driving out there, and it wasn't too bad. Then the last like probably 2 miles, 3 miles before you turned off, like there's no sign, so you're driving forever. And like, well, I think I'm going the right direction. Every time there's a crossroads, you're like, well, it doesn't say anything about geobeds, but according to my research, I got to keep heading this direction. Keep heading west, young man. So that's what I did. I keep heading west, and we finally came across a sign that said geobeds to the right. But the last mile and a half or two, I guess it was probably like 3 miles, it was way washboardy. I was cruising along pretty good on those gravel roads, and the washboard kicked in, and I didn't really like going too fast on them.
Yeah.
But but yeah, so we made the right, and kind of followed these little foothills a little bit, and it took you around, and we were driving in, and I was like, oh, I think we're in the right spot. Like, I don't really know where to dig, like just kind of more or less, I guess, dig where you think you can find some. But we followed the road, and it curved around to the right and into this little, not really a canyon or a ravine, just in between like these two hills. And all of a sudden, there was people. We're like, well, I guess we're at the right spot.
So you actually met up with people all the way out there, huh?
Yeah, like you're driving out there, like we maybe seen one or two other cars, so you kind of feel like you're all by yourself. And I think those, I think a handful of them were camping out. And so we like I said, yeah, we turned in. There was there's probably 60, 70 people or more. And
Oh wow. That's kind of
yeah,
that's that's quite a bit of people.
yeah, like, and it was a lot of people that had kids. So it wasn't because because they dynamited and it makes it easy to dig, and I guess kids wanting to gives them like it was kind of funny. We'd be sitting there digging, and like a new group of family would move in, not right next to us, but like kind of a distance away from us, but the next family closest to us, and you hear a kid, I found one, like I found a big one. And it's just like a rock that they found on top of the dirt. And I'm over here digging. I was like, oh, shoot, I just been finding these little things. And this kid supposedly walked up and found a big one.
That's funny.
Yeah. But it was so, like I said, we didn't know really what we're doing. We drove around like the area and kind of parked up on top of the hill. It wasn't, when I say hill, it's not like a big hill that we're on top of. It was just an incline or a decline, however you want to look at it. And parked up on top, and then kind of walked into the area where that has been dynamited we're at the top of the hill. And I was like, I don't know what to do. You know, I don't know. Like usually, like prospecting for gold, you're like, oh, you got to find the banks in the river, or like the drops in the water where the gold's gonna fall out, and try to be all thinking hard on it, and so I just more or less stuck my shovel in the ground and started digging, and pulled some up, and we kind of had Jen. She was working on her own little spot. She found a couple little ones, and then I put her over by me so that way I can dig a shovel full, throw it up, and she can kind of work her way through the shovel full.
Mm-hmm.
And we're sitting there, and she's like, hey, when you pull up, like, I think it's decomposed granite is what they call it. She's like, if I work my way through this stuff, that's where like we'd find these little ones, and we found some good sized ones. And so that's where I'm finding all the little these little things that we think are geodes, and like, well, are they? Aren't they? Like, I don't know what they look like. And so I had a little like the welding hammers where you knock, like
Oh yeah.
the little,
The slack or whatever you call it.
yeah, you knock the slack off, like look like a pick hammer.
Yeah.
So I had one of those out there with me, and we pulled one up. It's like, I think that this is a geode. And so we cracked it open, and oh yeah, sure enough, it's a geode. And so that was
Oh,
kind
that's
of
cool.
fun. So then
Yeah.
so then we kind of figured out where the pay dirt was, and sat there, worked on that for a little bit, and went back up and had some lunch. And which was kind of nice. It was kind of fun because I had to dig a pretty good sized hole. Like I was pretty much engulfed into the hillside, but because it was dynamited, it was easy to dig. So I had a good sized hole, but it wasn't like I was like hours into this hole to find what we found, which made it nice.
Yeah.
So then we just went up, ate lunch for, rested for an hour and a half, and then went to another spot. And I was like, I should back up. So we're sitting there eating lunch, and I can see the geo beds in front of me. And I look across the ways there, and I see this guy like sitting there digging himself a hole, and he keeps like, he's probably about 150 yards away, and he's like tossing like these good sized rocks into his bucket. And I was like, what the heck? I'm gonna go over to his spot when he leaves. I mean, we found some good ones, but it just seemed like he was always tossing these good ones up. And but again, we walked to this other spot, and I was like, well, I guess I'll start digging here. So I dug down a little bit, and I'd pull some out, and then I get down in there about 2 feet, and then we started hitting pay dirt again, and I'm like, oh, we should probably get going, and because we had plenty. And then I stuck my shovel down in there, and like the dirt kind of cleared out, and I could see this one. It was probably about just a little bit smaller than a softball, or maybe a little bit bigger than a baseball. I was like, oh, we got one more to pull out. So dug that one up. Then we came home. But it's kind of a drive. It's only 116 miles, but because it's all gravel road, it takes like 3 hours to get out there.
Oh yeah.
So, but I mean, it was fun. You know, we have kind of a bag full of geodes. Not that we're rock hounds, but people come over, kind of have a talking point, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
that
it's
sounds
fun.
yeah, that's some of that just good old fun that, get out of the house kind of stuff.
Yeah. And then it was nice that we got kind of rewarded too. It wasn't like, you know, went out and then it was like, well, we didn't find anything.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice to come back with something in your hands of something that you said you're going to do and come back and be like, hey, look what I did. I did it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty neat. That's just that good old fashioned fun, man. Me and my wife need to do more of that. Find little things like that, kind of just get away for the day and do something relaxing. I think it'd be
Yeah.
good for both of us.
Yeah. Like I said, so it was fun.
That's awesome.
And then, yeah, then we came home,
Yeah.
but, I guys turn it over. I don't feel like feel like I get all excited about my stories and then like I hit a wall when I'm done. It's like, all right, I'm done.
Yeah.
End of story.
Yeah. Well, we'll get better with that in time, I think. We'll work on the storytelling a little bit. Because I do the same exact thing. I feel like I have more to say, and then I'm like, well, I guess I don't, and then it's like that awkward silence for a second.
Right.
But
I was like, I'm excited telling the story. Then all of a sudden it's like, yeah, we found them, had a great time, and then we came home,
yeah. Where do
which
you go
is the
now?
truth.
Well, I'm sure my story will end the same way for the most part. Yeah, I did a little turkey hunting this weekend. Went up to this area. I really liked this area that I went to. I didn't see anything, uh, but I had my boy with me, and or my intern rather, and and we we walked down. We only walked off the road like half a mile, but I found this tree, and we kind of tucked up under the tree, and and just kind of watched this little opening, and it seemed pretty good. But we had a ton of wind though today. We had a ton of wind Sunday, and so it was kind of annoying. It just got cold and annoying. And we were there for a couple hours or whatnot, but um, couldn't really hear anything or concentrate. That wind was just no fun to do anything in the wind. But the cool thing is while we were there, probably I heard some noise on the side of us, and I'm like, it sounds. I mean, I didn't. I figured it was a deer or an elk. I didn't really know, but I heard like some walking. I'm like, oh, what is that sound? And I look over, and I'd say probably 10 yards to 15 yards away from us, there was this deer, and and he come he come or she come running down and stop, kind of like I said, about 10, 15 yards away from us. And I look up, and I think about the time that the deer stopped. The reason that stopped, they only stopped for a split second, but I think the reason why is because the wind was blowing the way it was. They got a whiff of me and my intern, and I love saying that. Anyways, got a whiff of me and my intern, and then uh, took off up the hill a little ways, then turned around and stared at us. And but it was kind of cool. They got that close and didn't even know we were there till they smelt us. So that was pretty cool. Laid out a few calls, did a little bit of filming, I didn't see much, but the area itself, just kind of the layout of the land, just I was like, I feel pretty confident that if there's a turkey up in this area, that they might be somewhere around there. I mean, I might have to travel around a little bit, but the terrain kind of looked favorable toward maybe getting some turkey. And so it was pretty cool that way. Uh, oh yeah, those deer, to go back to the deer, they kind of just ran up the hill, and then probably for about 5 minutes, they were just trying to figure out what we were. And they were staring down at the tree. They couldn't really see us through that tree because we were tucked up under it. And they just kind of were staring down at us for a while. And my intern, I don't think saw him for quite a while. And I was like, they're right there. And I'm like, look at the skyline. They're right there. He's like, looking around. I'm like, oh my gosh. Then I'm finally like, then they finally kind of moved a little bit. And I'm like, you see a move? And then I don't know if he did or not, but he started saying, yeah, I saw him move. So I was like, okay. But I don't know. He might have just said that just for me to shut up, because I'm like, how do you not see him? I'm like, you got those young eyes, man. You need to be seeing everything.
Right.
You need to be pointing all these things out to me. But anyway, so he got a little bit cold, and like I said, that wind was blowing pretty good, and he was getting a little cold, and I pulled out the hand warmers. I don't, even whenever we're hunting in October and November, I don't really use the hand warmers that much, if at all. And I always forget about him. But he was like, "Oh, I'm so cold, getting cold." Well, he's complaining about his feet getting cold mostly, and I was like, "Well, I got some hand warmers," and so I gave those to him, and he's like, "Oh yeah, these are pretty nice." So he and that. But yeah, we decided to leave after, I don't know, we were probably out there for a couple hours. Before we went down in there, I kind of drove as far as I could. Uh, and then there was still a bunch of snow. The higher we went, we kind of got to a spot where there's just too much snow to drive anymore. So I turned back around, came down, and then, like I said, we were up under that tree for about a couple hours, whatever it was, and then decided to take off because of the wind and stuff. So uh, not a successful turkey hunt, but uh, having fun. Glad to be getting out. That's the biggest thing, is just getting out and enjoying the woods, and enjoying just being out in the wildlife, seeing some stuff. Uh, man, I'm kind of gonna go down a rabbit hole here, but I was uh I was on Facebook, and some of my backcountry pages or hunting pages, whatever, on Facebook. I was scrolling through, and there's this one guy saying, "You got a picture of this big old mountain lion," and he's like, "Yeah, this thing was like got up like 15 yards away and wasn't scared of me at all, during turkey hunting, and wasn't scared of me at all." And he did, the mountain lion ended up backing away, but he said, I had to shoot at the ground. He's like, I shot at the ground trying to scare him away, and he just kind of, he said the cat backed off, but just real slow, and kind of just stared at him the whole time until he finally decided to walk away. But um I was like, man, it's crazy. I mean, I've never been in one of those encounters up that close or anything, so I mean, I don't know what that's like. But most of the time you hear like, oh, they're more scared of you, they'll run off or whatever. But that situation, it kind of makes you a little weary. I'm glad I got my pistol, and I was thinking about, or so it got me thinking about my turkey hunt. And I'm like, I'm so glad I got my pistol. I have my bear spray also, but I'm glad I have my pistol also, because like this last weekend the wind was so bad. I mean, it probably would have just done nothing but sprayed me if that's all I had. I mean,
Yeah.
I have my shotgun too, and I'm sure that if something like that happened, that'd probably be my first line of defense, is shoot it with the turkey load, and then and then try to scramble to get my pistol out of my bag. But I don't know how well it would work, but that's what I would do if things got that ugly. I mean, I would obviously try to scare, like get it to shoo away or whatever first,
Yeah.
um but it just makes you think, especially whenever like you have like I mean, I have my boy with me and stuff, and that's what scary. Like I'm not worried about me, I'm like, wow, I mean, it is what it is, but like him, I get a little worried about. And that's what that guy said that kind of made the whole story eerie. Is he's like, man, keep your head on a swivel, because this thing just kind of popped up out of nowhere, and all of a sudden he was 10 yards away from me. And I'm like, yeah, man, that's a little too close for comfort. But I think it's kind of far, far and few in between. God, I hate it whenever I try to say those old sayings, and then I'm like, am I messing that up? If it was just me and you and I wasn't on a podcast, I'd let it slide by. But on a podcast, I'm like, am I saying that right? Uh, anyway, so yeah, just kind of food for thought. And that's another one. Is it foo or food? I think it's food, but anyway, um, just yeah. And then I saw this other one. I'm like in this doom and gloom mood, I guess. But I saw this other one about a grizzly attack, and man, he took some pictures of him in the hospital. And this is after he was all cleaned up. I imagine he probably looked a lot worse beforehand. But man, those grizzlies, they can leave some marks.
Yeah.
It's crazy how deep how deep their teeth can. I mean, it makes sense, I guess, but you just don't really think about it until you see the photo evidence or whatever. And you're like, God, man, that I wouldn't want those marks on me.
Right.
The only mark that I'd want is maybe like a claw mark on my stomach or something. Then whenever I'm swimming or something, whoa, what happened? Grizzly attack.
You should see him.
You should see the grizzly, exactly. But yeah, that's pretty much my hunting, my turkey hunting story as of right now. I will add in though that I said last week that, and there's kind of another part to this too, but I did a little. I happened to just be in the area, and I did a little more scouting and took my time. So up where I work, or one of the areas that I work in, saw a bunch of turkey today, and I've been holding back on going up there because it's kind of a drive, and also I wasn't quite sure public land versus private land, but I did a little more research, and there's a lot of it's all pretty much uh, state land, if you will, and there's some private in there, but there's a lot of state land to hunt, and and I saw some turkeys in that area, so I'm thinking I'm gonna head up that way and just go ahead and do it. But yeah, I drive that way every day for work, right? So like part of my plan whenever I'm going turkey hunting is I don't want, I'm trying to get away from work, if you will. So I don't want to go up that way because it kind of feels like I'm going to work, if that makes
Going to
sense.
the
So
office.
going to the office to a sense. Um, so that's why I kind of was hesitant about doing it, but man, I just saw hens. I saw 3 hens, and they were all kind of down the same road, but they were pretty spread far apart. I never did see a tom, but at the same time, I'm like, well, I'm pretty sure they're in here somewhere, and it just gave me a lot of hope. That's the most activity I've seen in the last couple weekends of turkey season. So I'm excited to go see what
Yeah.
I can do up there. I don't know if I'll do it this weekend, but maybe next weekend for sure. I'll try to get up there and check that out. This weekend I might go to where I went last weekend. So yeah, just just doing that. With that said, though, that's kind of my turkey hunt. That's where my turkey hunt is right now in Colorado. Um, Nothing too exciting as far as takes or anything, but hopefully soon I'll get something. But speaking of turkey, though, Joe, you did a little bit of research, and is there some stuff that you'd like to talk about?
Um, yeah, so it's kind of hard. It's- I guess I shouldn't say hard. Finding information, you can always come across some information, but trying to, I guess, digest the information or find something that that you as a person can understand, relate to, or want to read. I feel like it's kind of hard. Like I was trying to find some turkey information, and some of it, like I just didn't enjoy what the content was. But I did find an article. Um, excuse me. Uh, and it was done by the Bone Collector Group, and it's titled "5 Hunting Tactics to Avoid Getting Busted." And so there are 5 tactics: was using the right setup, perfect run and gun turkey hunting, avoid common turkey decoy mistakes, and sound like a real turkey, and take concealment seriously. So, and I kind of, it's a pretty quick, easy read. And kind of liked how the article flowed. It was, went pretty good for me. And, but I wanted to kind of just focus on, um, their one, point. It would be number 3: avoid the common turkey decoy mistakes. And I kind of, you know, bring that up because I purchased some, decoys to get ready for this turkey hunt, and I just was like, I didn't know what to get, so I just bought some, and I didn't know, really, I didn't. I probably could have done some research, but again, I didn't. And after I bought them, I was like, well, hopefully I got the right thing. But so after reading through this, I think I did okay because I didn't think of, it says using the wrong decoy, and I was like, oh, what's the wrong decoy? No one ever really talks about decoy setups. Like I got my decoys out there. And so I like the article because it kind of gave a little bit behind of what is the wrong decoy. And so one of the things it was saying was paying attention to what season it is. Like usually the spring, you do have like the strut going on, where they're trying to breed the hens. And then you have like, I think for me hunting Utah, the hunt is going to be after they're still strutting, but they're not strutting as heavy. And so like it says here, like a big strutting tom decoy is effective early, but can spook turkeys later in the season. Hen setups are consistently effective throughout the year, and your best bet when using decoys as part of your turkey hunting strategy. So it sounds like you can have a hen decoy year round. It's that decoy of that tom all puffed up and strutting and showing his stuff. And I think that kind of makes sense. And one of the things too that it kind of, I think it was this article that that it was saying too is, you want to be careful on where you place your decoy compared to where you're hunting. And I think, I'd fall into this category, I think, unless I sat down and thought about it. But, you don't want to be seen by the turkey. So you kind of place the decoy out there a ways, which might be, kind of on the far side of your shotgun range. So, you want to make sure your decoys are set up fairly close to give you the shot, so that it's not like if a turkey hangs up out there past where your decoy is, he's going to be out there a ways. But if you bring your decoys in closer, then he hangs up, it might actually give you a shot.
Mm-hmm.
But which is something I never thought, be interested in seeing how that works. And then the other thing too I thought was interesting that I'd probably be guilty of is setting your decoy straight in line with you to where the turkey would probably be coming in. In other words, you don't want to set your decoy up to where that you're right behind it as a backdrop where the turkey would be coming from, because where the turkey's trying to see movement, and if you move at all, like if you're on the backdrop of your decoy, and that tom coming in is looking for movement, and you move and your decoy doesn't, he's going to focus in on you. What's that movement back there? And so I thought that was kind of interesting. It's
That's a
just
very good point too, because I know a lot of people because they're thinking more about their shooting line than their
right.
than but yeah, turkey coming in directly in front of you, and then you move to adjust to get a good shot or something, then he sees you move, throw everything off.
Yes. And like I said, these are little things. I think if you slow down, stop, and think about it, you'd get there. But as a new turkey hunter, um, you kind of just not necessarily rush, but you get your head in, and you're like, oh, I got to hurry up, sit down, and and get ready. And I think you just think yourself set yourself up for success,
Yeah.
and like I said, I think I'd overlook those things without even thinking about it. Cause to start over with the decoy, you know, to me, getting a decoy that's all thinking about it, all strutted up and ready to put on a show, that's to me is a male turkey. So like you're just showing a male turkey out there. But
Mm-hmm.
then, depending on the season, uh, bring caution onto the other turkeys. What's he doing?
Yeah, I wanna throw in one thing here about decoys. I I was kind of taking a different tactic this year, and this weekend kind of made me rethink that. I was kind of gonna do, I guess, more of the run and gun method,
Uh-huh.
not really worry about decoys, just try to find them and go for it, um, and but where we were set up and everything, I was like, man, you know what? I think I need to get some decoys because it would have been perfect because there was some trees that were kind of blocking some of my shooting lane or whatever, but I feel like it kind of works perfect with how we were set up because I could still see out there. But if a turkey where we were decided to come in that area, I was like, man, I need some decoys out in the field a little ways, and then to bring them in to there, and then yeah, I would it would have been perfect though with some decoys. So I was like, man, I don't know. Maybe by next weekend I'll get a couple decoys and try that tactic. So we'll see if I do or not. But yeah, I was gonna definitely throw that into my hunting arsenal. Kind of with something that you alluded to, not just a bit ago, was us being so new at turkey hunting, trying to figure out the best tactics. And I see videos with both, where they use decoys and then where they kind of run and gun. They know where the turkeys are and they hear the gobble up the hill and they kind of go after them or try to call them in that way, but without decoys. And so I was trying to take that tactic of like I said, I guess you could call it the run and gun tactic, but yeah, I'm definitely going to try both. I think I'm going to go get some decoys at some point this season and try both. And I guess whatever one works, or hopefully one of them works, but uh, whatever one works is the one I'll probably start sticking with the most.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that turns out. So like, like I think that's kind of how, as I've been thinking about my keys to success for this turkey hunt this year, like it'd be a mixture of like kind of run and gun. Like I want to try to get out in the morning, before dawn, a good chunk before dawn, just to try to get out there and call and see if I can hear anything gobble or making noise. So that way maybe I can figure out where to set up for first light. And then after that, it might turn into kind of like a run and gun type thing where I'm just kind of hitting bound, moving along where I think they might be and just hitting different places and just setting and calling for a little bit and being patient and whatnot. And then, make sure, try to be in the areas where there's food and water as well. The other thing too is, just being quiet. Those suckers are, I didn't realize, realize how cautious they are. And I think I talked about it in other podcasts, but this last year during the deer hunt and elk hunt and late season hunts, and I've had the opportunity to run into them a handful of times, and they're pretty like just a little bit of movement I made. I knew they were there. I think before they knew I was there, but they clued into me fairly quickly, a couple times.
Yeah, it's for somebody that's never turkey hunted and but been out in the woods a lot. It's a mind warp because I've been to areas where I see them run right in front of me. I mean, it's not like they want to stick around and say hi, but they run across the road or whatever, and like you run into them all the time on the road, and you're like, how hard can this turkey thing be? And then you start it, and it's a lot more challenging than a guy really whenever you actually get off the road and try the right thing. Because for whatever reason, when they're on the road, maybe they feel safe because most people just drive on by, don't pay no attention or whatever. So they're just like, yeah, vehicles aren't a danger. But when you kind of get more in their world and you're out in the woods, they're a lot more cautious, it seems like.
Yeah.
From my experience anyway.
Yeah. No, like I said, like it was just this last year, there was one spot that they moved into beneath me as I was sitting there waiting for a deer, and I can see him moving through the brush. Then one kind of picked his head up and did a whole little like look over at me with his little eye, and I think I just barely moved my hand, and he put his head back down and was gone. Like didn't really wait to
Wow.
see exactly what I was.
That's so crazy. That's crazy. Yeah, I can imagine though.
And then in September last year, we were down on doing this. We had me and my little sister had one day to hunt on this doe tag that she had, and we were watching this field, and these turkeys came out, and we were tucked up under a tractor, and and they came out and just kind of came out from the scrub oak and looked kind of in our direction, looked out a little bit, and then turned around and went back in the scrub oak. Like it was just kind of,
Really?
yeah. And we weren't really moving, like drawing much attention to ourselves. Like I said, we might have moved a little bit, but it wasn't like we're really showing them where our location was, but they just turned around and went back in. It's kind of,
God, that makes me think that probably been turkey all around me. I just moved too much in the past. Like, because last year, I remember setting up on this hill and I wasn't really tucked up under a tree or anything. I was just kind of sitting on this hill, uh, trying to turkey call out, hoping that it would get some range and maybe I'd hear something come back. But there was a point where I thought about it and I'm like, I'm not really tucked up under, like, I don't have much cover around me. I'm like, they probably hear where that's coming from, look up and see me. And they're like, that guy sure sounds like a turkey.
Yeah.
And ducks under, takes off or whatever. And I never see him, but, it was just kind of a thought that I had, but you saying that with what you're saying, I'm like, yeah, I'm sure if there was a turkey in the area, they probably saw me before I, or I didn't even know they were there. So they probably saw me, just took off.
Yeah. Could have been. They're pretty quiet.
But then you hear about guys shutting a Ford door and
And they sound
turkeys
off.
going off. Yeah. I feel like this year they've been, and it could just be my experience, but seems like they've been a little quieter this year than in the past as far as gobbling. Because last year I didn't see any in my where I could hunt. I didn't see any, but I was on this. It was at work again, but I had my turkey call with me, and man, I mean, I had them going off, and I'm like, hey, I think I'm kind of I can do some turkey calls. So it kind of built my confidence up for that. But man, I couldn't do nothing about it. But they were just going off right back at me. And this year, uh, so what was it? Was it after my first weekend? I saw another turkey in this area where I can't hunt. This is kind of like the story of my life. But I took out my call real quick and tried to call, and like, well, that turkey saw me plain as day. I mean, I know it did, but I got no response. Like, I mean, that turkey was just gone. So, I mean, it was partially me, but I was like, well, chips, see what I can do, press my luck here. And yeah, I didn't get nothing. That turkey just took off. So, um, yeah, it's kind of crazy. I've been seeing turkey, but just can't close the distance, seal the deal, put the, I don't know, put, I was trying to think of another one. I couldn't do it. My bad. But
Oh, yeah. Well, that kind of got, I think it, like I said, it was a article by the Bone Collector, um, five turkey hunting tactics to avoid getting busted. And if you guys looking for something to read or whatnot, to, quick little read to help you think about something to get yourself ready for hunting. I think it was a decent little article, give you stuff to think about. And I think some good little pointers to, to get you on the right direction.
yeah, for sure. I got a little bit out of it. It got me thinking about some of my tactics and maybe changing them up and your personal story with how you buried your hand on that one turkey and he put his head back down and just took off. Kind of made me rethink some of my tactics, and maybe I need to be sneaking around the woods a little bit, be a little more stealthy than I probably have been. Not that I've been trying to make all kinds of noise necessarily, but I probably could work on being a little more stealthy for sure. So
Huh.
that's an
Right. Yeah.
interesting take.
Yeah.
But I got a couple more stories and then I guess we'll get out of here. I'll try to talk about them as quick as possible. But earlier today I was going through one of my notebooks and I noticed that I had this bullet point that I wanted to probably talk about on the podcast and then ended up forgetting about it or whatever the case was. But it was about this guy, and I'm pretty sure I found the article here on the internet, and it was a 63-year-old man from Dillsboro. Where is this? Oh, Indiana. Indiana man. Um, he was hunting in an area, and he ended up getting a buck and tied it up to his four wheeler or ATV. I don't. It doesn't say what it was, but his ATV, and he was driving, and he went up on a steep incline, and he ended up flipping the ATV backwards and ended up landing on top of himself. But he had that buck strapped to his four wheeler, and the antlers off of that buck ended up stabbing him. Long story short, it seems like he survived. I didn't see that the man passed away or anything from his injuries, but uh, long story short, he stabbed himself with his own buck. So he kind of went from a really high point in the day to a very low point in the day. Just thought that was kind of an interesting story, and it was kind of cool that I came across it, and obviously forgot to talk about it in an earlier podcast of early or not early. It was this article says that it was November of 2020, so I must have heard it around that time, or a little bit after. So yeah, back in 2020, I wrote it down as a bullet point and then never brought it up or whatever. So, anyways, I thought that was pretty cool. And then I kind of wanted to get out of here with a quick story that I've held on to for a couple weeks, but I just thought it was too funny not to tell. And my wife, so I got a bow this year, early this year, and I've been practicing whenever I can, shooting the bow, and my wife has been getting real interested in it. You know, at first it was kind of a hot topic around the house. You know, I can't believe you bought a bow. You know, and we didn't plan for it. And I said, yeah, I know, but you know, I want to get into this. And anyway, so after I got it and doing it, she kind of showed some interest, and I bought my son one, but you know, my son's bow is too small for her, and it's just about right for my son, but it's too small for her. But she was shooting that a little bit and enjoying it. And anyway, so a couple weeks back, I was like, well, you know what? Why don't you just try to pull it back? Like, see if you could pull it back and my bow, just see if you could pull my bow back and you know, let one go and see how it feels. And I wish, well, so to start out, like she was shooting my son's bow a little bit. And like I said, that one's too small for her, but she was shooting a little bit. So she had an idea of how to shoot a bow. So I didn't really think much of it whenever I gave her my bow. You know, we kind of already went through all the talking points and stuff on how to shoot the bow and everything. So I thought she was good to a point. And so she starts to pull it back and she gets almost there, but doesn't quite get to that where the cams go back, and you know, it's easy. And I was like, okay, you know, I was like, pull it back as far as you can. And she did. And I just kind of helped her pull it back just a little, you know, to that point. Right. And I'm like, all right, now it's easy. Right. And she's like, yeah, you know, it's easy. And I was like, all right, well, let it go. And, I assumed that she was aiming, and maybe she thought she was, but she let that thing go. And my backyard's not very big, and we have neighbors all around us. And that thing goes straight through our fence or past the target, straight through our fence into the neighbor's yard. And I'm like, oh no, man. And it was kind of crazy because yeah, I mean, the arrow's going pretty fast, but I just saw a glimpse of it going like right above the target. And I'm like, this ain't, you know, like that quick in my mind. I'm like, this ain't good. And so it goes over there and I couldn't find it. I looked over in the neighbor's yard forever and ever, and I couldn't find it. But out of embarrassment, and this is probably why I've been holding on to this story for a couple weeks, but I'm like, you know, I felt dumb because I was like, I should have made her take the time to aim better. Um, and then, you know, she feels bad too because it went over to the neighbor's yard. Uh, anyways, so we looked and looked and looked and we never could find it. And so she's like, well, what are you gonna do? And I'm like, well, I'm gonna wait until he walks that arrow over. It says, hey, you guys shot an arrow in my yard and that ain't cool. And I'm gonna say, my son, I told him not to do that. I'm gonna throw my boy under the bus so hard. Grab my arrow and put it up. And yeah, we're gonna forget that story ever happened if he ever finds it. I don't know if he'll ever find it or not, but anyways, that's the plan. That's kind of what I'm gonna do. So I just thought that was kind of a funny story, one of those stories that I can't wait to tell for years to come or whatnot. And hopefully my neighbor does find it and actually do that, but I'm totally gonna chew him out. And my son's gonna be confused as hell, but it's gonna be funny. But yeah, I just another moral to that story though, before we finish up here is just I'm making groups, I'm only doing about 15 yards or so, and where I'm practicing at. Like I said, I don't have a very big backyard and it's all I got, but my groups are pretty tight or fairly tight. And I'm hitting the target every time. I don't have little wanderers or anything. So my confidence is pretty high. I'm like, I'm not going to have a fling or anything. And so I didn't even think about her, flinging one to the neighbor's yard or anything. And so moral of the story is definitely be careful with what you're doing. Cause yeah, I mean, you got to kind of think of all possibilities and scenarios. And yeah, so just be careful with what you're doing and try not to get any flingers to your neighbor's yard. Matter of fact, I've kind of slowed down on shooting my bow just because even though I didn't do it, it just kind of has me a little nervous, just of the accidental arrow flinging somewhere. So I'm planning on making a target for the backyard that's a little kind of bigger or whatever sets up. But I'm trying to think of a way to, even if I only set it up whenever I'm shooting the bow, I'm trying to think of a way to set it up in a way that, like have a piece of plywood or something that's like 3/4 inch thick or something that if there is a flyer, it'll hopefully hit that backboard before it goes into a neighbor's house or into their backyard or whatnot. So yeah. Anyway, that's my story. I just thought it was kind of fun. I'll leave you guys with this unless Joe, you got anything more to add?
Nope.
All right. I'll leave you guys with this. Me and Joe, we've been working hard on this podcast and trying to do something with it, trying to make it grow. And so it'd be really nice if you guys are hearing this, sticking with us this long, to maybe share this with a friend, send them a text and say, hey, you gotta listen to these guys. They're pretty silly or whatever. And just kind of help us out, share our podcast, help us grow. We'd much appreciate it. Like Joe said, like, subscribe, follow, whatever your platform says, do that. And with that said, guys, we are the Struggling Hunters and we are out of here.
Take care.